Okay, so the metronome's in my conversation, and now we're going to start looking at how to say things to the metronome and what it will respond to. To do this, I'm going to refer to our documentation on our wiki, which is www.eigenlabs.com/wiki. And so I'm going to go there. And then if you scroll down, so...
Just make it bigger.
Yeah, can you make it full screen?
Sure.
There we go. All right, so here's our wiki page. I'm going to scroll down. It's a bit pixelated, but hopefully you can see. So I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to click on Eigendereference. It says how Eigende works, agents, and more. So clicking on Eigendereference, and here we've got a list of pretty much all the agents that exist or you can use in the Eigende software. And this is updated whenever we add more. Okay, so we're looking at the metronome. So I'm going to click on metronome. Okay, and here we go. Like all these agents, all the wiki entries follow the same kind of format. So at the top you've got the name, you've got the Belcanto, the musical phrase that corresponds with the name. You've got a description. It's quite pixelated. Hopefully I'll zoom in a lot more. Okay, so you've got description. You've got ports. Now, ports are basically a list of all the variables that you can change within the metronome. So in the metronome, you've got the first one here is tempo. So this is an obvious one. The variable within the metronome is tempo. You've got the type is a number. The range is 0 to 500. So you can have anything from 0 BPM to 500 BPM. Then you go down, you've got all kinds of different things. And these variables are also inputs. So like this is a subject for another day, but if we wanted to, instead of typing in the tempo, we could connect something like the strip controller to the tempo and control it that way. But for now, we're looking at Belcanto and the Eigen commander. So this is our first port. It's the tempo input, and I'm going to so we're going to try changing that. It's very straightforward. We've already said metronome listen. I'm back in the Eigen commander, so we know the metronome is going to be listening to us and nothing else. We know there's a port called tempo, so there's a variable in there we can change called tempo. So what I type is tempo to whatever I want the tempo to be set. So I saw the range was 0 to 500, so I put in tempo to 400 set. Press enter. Down in the bottom right, you can see it says tempo to 400 set. The reason why, so the way Belcanto works is the verb, or the doing word, always goes at the end of the sentence. This tells it that we finished the sentence. In this case, set is the verb. We want it to set the tempo. So you say tempo to 400, and then the verb at the end is set. So that's a simple example. If I press start on my Eigenharp, you can see we've got 400 BPM tempo. All right, I'll go back to the wiki page. Nice one. So we go down. Let's see what else we've got. So we've got bar trigger, beat trigger, minimum tempo, maximum tempo. Oh, sorry, it's not updating properly on screen. MIDI clock input, MIDI clock enable. All right. Well, there's not a lot there that's that interesting for us to change. But these are all things you can change. So if we have a look at some of the minimum tempo, so minimum tempo, this is when you're doing tap tempo, so you're tapping in the tap tempo using the tap tempo keys. You can set the minimum tempo that could possibly be. You can say, okay, I don't ever want that to go below 100 BPM. So to set that, so we can see the variable called minimum tempo. Go back to my Eigen commander. Metronome is already listening. That will always be listening. I say minimum tempo to 100 set. You can see that. Press enter. Down the bottom, minimum tempo to 100 set. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to try and use my. Okay. So I want to slow this down to below 100. Hopefully this won't work. So I'll go. You can see it's just, I've set the minimum tempo as 100, so it's just not responding to my tap tempo. If I do above 100, it will respond. Okay, so for every single agent, we've basically listed on this wiki page every single variable that agent has. So you can go on here and you can say, look at the, if you're playing with an audio unit, you can go and have a look at the audio unit agent, and you can basically see what there is to play with. And I mean, this is a good starting point. Once you know that you've got to put the agent you're talking about in your conversation, either use hey or listen. Once you've done that, you can go to this wiki entry for the agent that you're kind of wanting to experiment with. You can look at the variable and you can say, for example, tempo to whatever set, or whatever the name of the variable is to whatever set, basically. But if we, so I'm going to make this bigger again, zoom in a bit. So these are the ports, we call them ports. They can either be something you set or something you can connect to. And the connecting to bit we call plumbing, but I'll do that in another seminar because that could take a long time. But if we go further down, so we've got verbs. This is the next bit. So you've got the ports in each agent. The ports are basically the parameters that you can play with. Now the verbs, these are, each agent has a set of verbs that they respond to. And here is the list of the verbs that the metronome responds to. So we've got start, we've got stop, and we've got toggle start. Okay, so I mean, this is fairly self-explanatory, but we've got the metronome listening. I can just say start, and it will start. There you go. And then I can say stop. There's another one. I've actually just noticed there's a couple missing from this list of verbs, because the other ones we can say are like up. So we could say something like tempo. So I'm going back to the commander. I could say tempo up. Hang on, let me start the metronome. So I can say tempo up. Oh, up, up. It's going 1 BPM at a time, but that does work. So you can. There's a few more verbs there. So yeah, again, every agent, you have a list of verbs that respond to it. You have a list of variables that you can change. So hopefully, like, once you understand the idea of conversations, at the very least, you can think, right, well, I'll turn the metronome off, sorry about that. At the very least, you can think, right, okay, well, I'm playing with the scales at the moment. You know, if you want to get into this, you could go and have a quick look at the scalar agent, and you can basically get an idea for what you can change and what you can do with it. And at the bottom, so on the scaler, you've got all these things you can change. You've got, like, we had a look at these in the first seminar, but they're all listed here pretty much. K pitch bend, global pitch bend, bend range, bend curves. You can change the scale, obviously. You've got the octave. If we go down though, so we've got the verbs. There's not much there. It's just choose. But you've also got the examples. So this is also really useful. So you can, if you want to set the scale using Belcanto, you can say scale to major set. It's got all the examples. It's got a lot of stuff that you would need to help you. All right. So hopefully that's enough to get you started with Belcanto. We're going to do some more of these seminars and get a bit more advanced. I also want to show you this how to actually play the Belcanto in. This is I don't know if you've ever noticed, but press the main mode key down. You've got your, I'm on alpha setup 1. I've got split 1 and the 2 arrangers down here. But at the top, I've got this extra light here, with key group output. So I can press that, let go. We've got a blank, just a blank set of keys. So on the middle course 3, the top 4 keys, and then course 4, the top 4 keys, these are my language keys. So what we'll do is if I zoom in on the Eigen commander, hopefully you can see in the bottom. Oh no, don't make it full screen.
Oh, sorry.
I'm going to need to. So hopefully if I. Oh. Okay, so I press. It's not updating quick. That's a shame. But okay, I'm going to shake the mouse and it should update. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. These are course 3 top 4 keys. 5, 6, 7, 8, which are course 4 top 4 keys. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are your 8 language keys. And from this, you can basically do anything you can imagine with the Eigenharp, simply by playing in these musical phrases. Now, It's a bit of a learning curve with this, but it's actually a really elegant solution because it means that one day, if you get good enough at this, you can basically change anything just from these 8 keys. And you get, if you're a musician already, you're used to kind of learning musical phrases and patterns. You can get quite quick at it, and it's more of a, it's not like learning, it's a muscle memory thing. So eventually you're like thinking of the words and typing this stuff in without really thinking about like a code or anything like that. So I'm going to do a couple of quick examples. So we're talking about the metronome. So first thing I'm going to do is metronome hey. We need to look up the word for metronome. So I'm going to go to the dictionary. I'm scrolling along. So if you look in the bottom corner, so I've got metronome. There it is. Hopefully you can see that. That's 5/2. Okay, so 5/2. We go back to here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5 is the top key on chorus 4. I press that. And 2 is the second key down on chorus 3. So I press that. So what I need to point out though is that the last number or the last key or note of the word you hit harder to tell Eigen that it's you finished the word. So I hit 5 lightly, then I hit 2 hard, and you can see down here. So me hitting 2 hard has told it it's the end of the word. You see down here 5/2. It's come up with metronome. So it's recognised my word. Hey is just 5 on its own. So I hit that hard because it's the first and last note. Sorry, that was 1. Metronome hey. Down in the bottom right corner, metronome hey. Okay, and then I can do things like tempo is 1/6/8. So I say tempo. Zoom in here. Tempo, and then 2 is 2/3 to hit the 3 harder. Tempo 2, and then I'll say like 100. So 1 is 1/1, 0 is 0/0, 0 is 2/2, and 0 is 2/2 again. 100, then set is 6/7. Okay, metronome tempo to 100 set. Look down in the bottom right, and there you have it. Tempo to 100 set.
Sorry, Dave. How do you know which key is which number?
Okay, so it's basically 8 language keys. We're looking at the first 4 rows at the top of the Eigenharp, and course 3, so the middle course is 1, 2, 3, 4. So does that make sense?
So one actually starts in
one. Yeah, let me do it like right close up. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I just did course 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then course 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they're your language keys. So this is kind of like, this is why Belcanto exists. I mean, everything's built up from this principle. So originally, when we first built all the first alpha setups, we built entirely this way. So we sat there and we created all the agents, connected everything together by typing in these musical words. And you can get pretty quick at it with practice, and it's quite useful.
Is this the same on the courses on the TAO?
Yeah,
so
I'll have to double check the TAO. I'll have to double.
Presuming on the Pico.
There are no language keys on the Pico at the moment. You could have them; they're just not in the default setup.
Right.
The TAO, I think there are. I just
can't remember.
I can't remember off the top of my head where they are, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, I can. Well, maybe we could update the wiki entry for this seminar.
Yeah, I think we can.
I've got a little document about speaking Belcanto using the language keys, so we could upload that. Cool.